Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry it's been such a long time that we've posted, but they're basically, long story short, our boiler went and we had to turn this place upside down, so there was no way for me to get to my PC or even in this room because we had to dump a lot of stuff in here. So yeah, anyway, I don't think this is going to be a very long video, but it has been highly requested that we do a game room tour. So this is your game room tour. So I guess we'll start off at the front here. This is our arcade cabinet. Now, this is a Legends. It's an At Games Legends Ultimate. They are still available. You can buy them from Liberty Games in the UK. This cost about £750. And basically what we do is, like, we've got a little USB stick there, like a dongle. And that has, at present, it's currently cycling through my favourite games. Our last played games there, what's new. Let's go back. Because there's a list of all the games. I think it's just left one. Here we go, all games. So I don't know if you can just about see that, like the writing's covering over there. But there is actually 1,904 arcade games on this USB dongle, and they're all arcade. They're all emulations of like old arcade games. So let's say I can scroll through here, and we've got things like 64th Street, a detective story. I think that's a relatively popular one, and you can see there it's a fighting game. Again, like you can set your favourites, and you know, I've got this hockey game that I've been playing. No idea why that's on here. BC Story, I don't think either of us have played that, but I guess we accidentally added it. But yeah, things like Donkey Kong, Fantasy Zone, we definitely played Opa Opa. Frogger is a great game, so I was trying to beat a high score on that. And you got things like Galaga. The sound is down at the moment. Let me turn the sound up. But it's not difficult to add these games on. I think the only hurdle was firmware. There's a specific firmware that allows this bit of software on this arcade cabinet, and it's called CoinOps X. And I think when At Games released new firmware for the cabinet, it kind of killed the CoinOps X software. I don't know whether that's been fixed since then, but we refuse to upgrade the firmware on this because we don't want to lose all of this. But it's an incredible. It's great to have this. Like every now and then, we'll just come up here and like, you know, when you fancy playing an arcade game, we have a little go of you know, things like Shuffleboard. It's got things like Aliens versus Predator on here. You know, so there's so many great games on here. You know, as like this Batman one was pretty cool. I played this with my best mate, and we went through the entire thing, completed it. You know, things like Jurassic Park on here. I remember playing that in the arcade when I was a kid, with the moving chair, which kind of like bounced up and down and moved left and right and stuff. But it was amazing. So yeah, I mean, these are the kind of that's pretty much what this is. It's very, very cool. And it's, you know, it's a great piece to have in the house. It did cost a lot of money, but you know, it's well worth it. You can even hook up a light gun to it and play things like Terminator, Lethal Enforcers, and stuff like that. But it's a bit of a faff because I do have a light gun which has a sensor bar, kind of acts like a Wii remote, but it's just difficult to place the sensor bar somewhere on the cabinet without like potentially damaging it. This up here, you can replace this for what's called a bit pixel. And it shows the name of the game, but it's like pixels. And I didn't really like that. What I really wanted was a bit LCD, and it changes this, like it's a little LCD screen that changes this from Legends Ultimate to whatever game it is you're playing, and it gives it just more of an authentic kind of vibe. With this cabinet as well, I feel like I'm selling this cabinet or trying to sell this cabinet. There are games already included. There's about I can't remember how many there are. There's about 80 games or something like that. But some of them are console games, and I don't use this for console games. This is purely a arcade machine for arcade games. I'm just going to turn the volume down again. Just going through the demo, because what it does, if you leave it for a while, the machine will CoinOps X will just cycle through all the games, kind of like a demo mode, just to kind of attract you to play a specific game. So yeah, really cool, that Legends Ultimate Arcade. Just to the left of that, we just got some figurines that we've been collecting over the years. Dee bought me this Ultimate Warrior figurine here because when I was a kid, I used to own so many of these figurines. I had like the Nasty Boys, the Undertaker. I mean, I've got this pretty cool Undertaker one that my mum got me for Christmas probably about 9 years ago or something. So I just kept it in its box because I loved it so much. I didn't want to take it out of the box. But it's from the 90s Undertaker, which was my favourite version of the Undertaker. Showing my age, and I've got some figurines here. We've got some pop vinyls, a Money in the Bank briefcase, because me and Dee, it's a bit dusty actually, me and Dee do like to watch wrestling from time to time. We kind of go in and out of watching it. At the minute we're out of it because it's just a bit samey, a bit boring, so we'll get back to it some other time. We've got a little miniature Batmobile. I've got a puck from the Toronto Maple Leafs there that I just bought off eBay because I quite like ice hockey and I've followed the Toronto Maple Leafs for a bit. Just down here I've got some really cool die-cast Power Rangers figurines. So like when I was a kid I had the actual toys of the Megazord there and the Dragon Zord, and I used to have a Dragon Dagger as well, but these are die-cast metal. I've got the Morpher here with these metal coins as well. That all works. And this all comes apart and you can have the Zords individually. You can even hook the Dragon Zord up to the Megazord as well. And yeah, the Dragon Dagger plays a tune. It's very, very cool. Dee down here, she loves Harry Potter, unfortunately. So she's got this wand that she got from Harry Potter World when she visited that with her mum, which she loves it, so it makes her happy. So that's what makes her, she's happy, I'm happy. Dee unfortunately can't be here at the moment. She's out in London Christmas shopping. And then we just got some pop vinyls of some of our favourite shows, South Park. We've got some Spy Family. I've got this really cool Scorpion one here, and there's a Sub-Zero behind that. Down here we've got Asta from Black Clover. We've got my Rimuru. We've got a Freer in there, and just some other little bits like Mega Man, Claptrap, and some Star Wars and some horror bits down here as well. Ignoring this shelf pretty much because it's just kind of a bit junky. There's some little figurines, and we've got a little slot machine there just to go with the arcade vibe. And some cleaning equipment for my consoles, and I'll show you the consoles in a bit as well. This might be longer than I thought, this video. Just to the right of the arcade machine, I've got we've got this. I bought this for Dee one year for Christmas. A Legends Pinball Micro. Again, it's at Games, but this plays lots of different pinball machines. Some are original, they're not real machines, but they do have these Gottlieb ones, which are based off real machines. And these were originally developed by Farsight Studios that made a game called the Pinball Arcade on things like PlayStation and Xbox. And they obviously did a deal with At Games to release them on here. So again,
checkpoint 1.
I won't play it too much, but you get the idea. It's got a good sound to it. Oh, I've just accidentally tilted. I pressed the wrong buttons. There's two buttons on the side. We've got tilt and the flipper. The flipper's the red one and that one's tilt. So I've just tilted again accidentally when the ball hasn't even been launched yet. So that will just drain. But it has haptic feedback as well. So there are some games that support haptic feedback. So it will have like a vibration when it hits the bumpers and such. It's very, very cool. Again, if I were to, let's see if I can go back to quit the game. Oh, up. How do we quit? There we go. I'll show you kind of like an idea of what games are on here. So let's go back. So yeah, here's kind of like the list of games. There's 6 pages. And like we've got these are kind of like original games here. But what's cool is as well is it's got like licensed original games, so Space Invaders on here. It's got Arkanoid as well towards the front. I think we've got a Bubble Bobble one. But as I say, like things like Haunted House, Going Nuts, Lights Camera Action, Jack's Open, they're all based off real arcade cabinets. Real pinball machines. So it's good to have like this variety in here. And again, it's a shame really because you can hook up your laptop to this as well, because we did it a couple of times, and you can basically stream from your laptop. It connects via HDMI cable, and you can stream like pinball effects from there into here, and you can control it all through this. So it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And you can even change out this here, the back glass, to connect to your laptop as well, and then it changes all the back glass and stuff for whatever game you're playing on Pinball Effects. The arcade cabinet's just scrolling through again, and currently it's scrolling through our favourites, and it's on Mortal Kombat because it's definitely a favourite of mine. We've got like these mini arcade machines on our window ledge here, a little Bad Dudes one, a Mappy and a Dig Dug. They're pretty cool. They do work again, but they're like NES versions. That's what I've noticed when you play them. They're NES versions of those games. Just scrolling around, obviously we've got some teddies. We've got a nice comfortable sofa. It's actually a sofa bed, so it pulls out if we've got guests. It doesn't pull out all the way because that's in the way there, so we have to turn it around so it's kind of facing outwards like this, and then we can get it going that way. But it works, so that's all that matters. 2 canvases of my favourite games of all time. Octopath Traveler is possibly one of my favourite games of all time. It was always Super Mario Galaxy 2. One of my favourite games was always Super Mario Galaxy 2 for a very long time, but I played Octopath Traveler, and everything about that game was just amazing. The stories of each individual character, the soundtrack, which is easily one of the best soundtracks in the history of video games, in my opinion, along with Octopath Traveler 2. I've not played Zero yet because I'm not allowed to buy it because I think I'm getting it for Christmas. And then we've got Shenmue. Again, now, if anyone's as old as I am, they will have, and if they're familiar with video games and they're familiar with Sega, Shenmue was a big hit. Well, I say big hit. It was a very big game on the Dreamcast, and that was one of my favourite games as a kid. So moving over to the consoles, down here we've got some mini consoles. I do apologise about the cable management. I am not tidy with cable management at all, and I will explain why some of the consoles are kind of doubled up. I've got a C64 Mini. I don't really play that too much, if I'm perfectly honest, because I've never owned a C64 when I was a kid, and I'm not familiar with the games. It is something I'll probably have a look at again at some point, though, just to see what's in there and, just try and play the odd game and see what it's like, but I'm not familiar with any of them. Just to the right of that, though, is the Amiga A500 Mini, and again, you can put all your own games on these, if you can obtain them through legal methods, or so this I used to have as a kid, an A500. It was a big beast of a thing, but it was an absolutely amazing console. Or device. Even it's not necessarily a console, it's more like a home computer, but like cannon fodder on that was amazing. You got games like Goblins, and even the conversions and the ports of Mortal Kombat. There's some other great games like Zany Golf and stuff. The Amiga A500 for me was a superb machine. Really happy to have this because it works so well. I've just got these 2 switches here because I've got so many consoles that I need so many HDMI cables plugged in at once. There's only 3 HDMI ports on this television, so we need as many of these as possible. I need another one, really. However, I can't because there's a reason. I've got an Evercade VS, which is like a little console that plays cartridges from compilations made by Evercade. It's quite good. We don't really play it too much anymore. This is an analog Super NT. So what the analog products are, so I've got quite a few analog products, and I'll show you some others. These are basically clone consoles, but they use what's called FPGA, so it's not emulation, but there's a chip inside of these that basically perfectly recreates the chip on an actual Super Nintendo. So when you put the games in this, basically they run exactly the same as they would on a Super Nintendo. They pretty much 99.9% sound exactly the same. If a game slowed down on the Super Nintendo, it would slow down on this too because it creates it one-to-one. So this is as good as owning one of these. But obviously this outputs in 1080p, so there's no need for horrible component cables. It's all HDMI, and it's superb. It plays it plays US, Japanese, everything, and that's the same with all of the analog products. Underneath that, we've got my Sega Mega Drive. It is on top of my Wii U because the Mega Drive is actually just on show, and that's the same for the Super Nintendo, the NES, and the Nintendo 64. I've got another Sega Mega Drive there. Sorry, it's quite bright in here. These are just for show. They're not plugged in. And again, there's a reason. Obviously, the reason why the Super Nintendos are is just on show is because this is what I use primarily to play my Super Nintendo games. I've got an Xbox 360 and a PS1 Mini. I love the PS1 Mini. It's so dinky. It fits in that hole just fine because I'm running out of space. We have no space anymore. There's literally running out of space. OG Xbox, we've got an Atari 2600 Junior and a PlayStation 3. And here we've got an analog Mega SG. So this basically does the exact same as the NT, but it plays Sega Mega Drive games, it plays your Master System games. You can even put a converter in there to play your Game Gear games, and it hooks up to the Mega CD too as well. Ponyo is about to walk in front of the shop. Hello, Ponyo. Everyone doesn't want to see your butt. Again, sorry about the cable management. And in this one, again, cable management, lovely. We've got the Wii U gamepad, and we've got another analog product. This is called the NT Mini Noir, and what this plays is NES games. So it's basically this. NES games go here, and Famicom games go here. And in the back, there is actually a adapter which you can connect the Famicom disk system to as well. This is a dock for the Analog Pocket, and what the Analog Pocket does is plays your Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, and you've got adapters that you can play your Game Gear games. You can play Neo Geo Pocket games and TurboGrafx games as well as Game Boy Advance. So does them all. And here, sorry, again, this is not exactly tidy up here, but there's my Sega Master System, again, just for show, because the Mega SG plays the Master System games. I've got my PlayStation 2, got this really cool memory card for my PlayStation 2 that has an SD card in it, and that basically gives you an infinite amount of memory cards, so that's the only memory card I'll ever need again, and you can manage that through Wi-Fi. Very, very cool stuff. Switch 2, that's D's Switch 2. Again, we've got the N64 and Mega Drive on show. This is D's PlayStation 5. I gave her this one when I upgraded to PlayStation 5 Pro. We've got my Sega Dreamcast, the Nintendo GameCube with the Game Boy player at the bottom there. Again, I've got another one of those memory cards, which is an infinite amount of space, but on the GameCube instead. This is the most recent addition to the collection. Again, sorry about the cable management. I am terrible, and it is honestly a fire hazard behind there, but there's nothing I can do about it. I did try and tidy him up at one point, but every time I needed to take a console down, because I had another YouTube channel where I played like old video games, basically. I haven't done that for a while, but I'm hoping to get back on that again soon. It's called Gaming Master Race. Check it out if you can. At the minute, there is no content, but there will be. This is an analog 3D, and it plays all my N64 games, Japanese, American, everything. So very, very cool. That is the latest edition. We've got an Atari 2600 Plus here, which again, it's a newer version of the Atari. Plays all your cartridges. This is emulation though, whereas this is FPGA. This is emulation. It uses the Stellar emulator, but you stick your cartridges in and they work, and that's all I want. I will show you the games, but yeah, that you stick your cartridges in that, and it all comes out via HDMI. Sega Saturn, which works. That is used because there's no other way of playing that, and then obviously you've got these on show here. What I do have as well, again, I do apologise, it's kind of just stuck down there. That's a RetroTink. It's called a RetroTink 5X, and what that does is that you put your SCART cables in one end here, and output just there, SCART cable goes in there, outputs in 1080p, and basically it allows me to play my Sega Saturn, my Sega Dreamcast, and my GameCube all on the TV through HDMI with it's got an absolutely superb picture quality. So that was the tour of the games room. What are consoles without games? And this here is the games, what we call the games library. So this is where we store all of our games. We've got some like little knickknacks at the top there. This Green Ranger helmet there was 3D printed by a friend, and it was a Christmas present. And then we've got things like some Lego stuff there, like Lego Ghostbusters house and a Quickie Mark and stuff. And I've got some boxed games. I don't really buy many boxed games for like older systems when they're cardboard, but I just happen to have those. But yeah, I mean, we've got our PlayStation games here. So off the top of my head, I don't know exactly how many games to the precise number that I have, but it's like 1,950 something. But yeah, they've got all my PlayStation 1 games there, kind of double stacked, and it's the same with the PlayStation 2 games here. They're kind of double stacked. I've got even more PlayStation 2 games there. Got some PlayStation 3 games. I don't own too many PlayStation 3 games because the PlayStation 3 was not my preferred console of that generation. I've got all these PlayStation 4 games there as well. The PlayStation 4 games do spread up here. I love the PlayStation 4, and I've got all my PlayStation 5 games just underneath that there. Underneath the PlayStation 5, we've got our Xbox games here. And just underneath that here, this is a PlayStation Portal in its box. And then underneath that, we've got quite a lot of Xbox 360 games. I've got over 100 and something of these. Again, they're kind of double stacked, but the Xbox 360 was my preferred console of that particular generation. And we've got some Xbox One games there. Up until about here are Xbox One games. These three are actually Xbox Series X games, and they're the only three games that the only three physical games I own for my Series X, because I just never play it. It was to me, the Xbox Series X was a huge disappointment. So like I've just been literally sticking with my PS5. In my opinion, there's no point owning an Xbox when all their games are shipping to PS5, and Game Pass is not attractive enough for me to switch on my Xbox. Moving up, we got some GameCube games again. Now, sadly, I don't have many GameCube games. And that's not to say that I don't like the GameCube. So I absolutely love the GameCube. It's just I just don't have many games. That's something I do wish to rectify. I do have a wish list, and I will build up on that eventually. There are some games that I used to own for it that I'm missing. I can't quite remember what ones they are. But anyway, I've got some Wii games there as well. A couple of Wii games, a couple of Wii U games. Not a great deal again. The Wii U, unfortunately, wasn't massively popular. So what I have there are mostly exclusive games. Games that you would only get on the Wii U, with the exception of Rayman Legends. The only reason why that's there is because I think it was released on the Wii U before it was released on any other system, and I've got Sonic and All-Star Racing Transformed on this system, even though that was released on all systems. The reason why I got it on that one is because I think that was the best version of it at the time. Underneath that, we've got our Switch games. Now, obviously, I'm going to have a lot of Switch games because, obviously, not lots and lots, but I've got plenty there because the Switch is a very popular system. I've got a Switch 2 carry case here that Dee got me for my birthday, which was a couple of weeks ago. And this here in this little makeup case is actually Dee's Evercade VS. In this case, here is my 3DS. Underneath that, we've got some Sega Master System games. Again, I never owned a Sega Master System when I was a kid. I really more explored it when I was an adult, collecting games, and I quite like it. I quite like the Sega Master System. It's all right. It's not as good as the NES, but it's still got its own series of games that are fun to play. And, graphically, it looks better than the NES, so that's always a plus. But underneath that, we've got the Sega Mega Drive games, Sega Mega Drive being one of my favourite consoles. There's plenty here. Again, double stacked there. I do apologise, a little bit dusty. I did dust in here, but I missed these. Loads of. I love Theme Park. Great game. Virtua Racing's a great game. Got the Super WrestleMania. I've got all the Streets of Rages somewhere. They might be behind these actually. Oh no, they're up here. So we've got Streets of Rage 1, 2, and then Streets of Rage 3. So yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Just to the right of the Sega Mega Drive games, we've got the Sega Master System. Sega Mega CD games that were gifted to me by Dee's dad. He no longer needed them, and when he passed away, sadly, he gave me these games. So I'm forever grateful for that. I've got some Sega Saturn games. A good, quite a few of them. Not a lot, but again, I like them. Very little Switch 2 games at the moment. But that's built. That's a project. It's ongoing. When new games come available that are worth buying, then I'll get them. At the minute, there's hardly any. I only buy a Nintendo game for the exclusives. I don't buy them for third-party games because all the third-party games I'll play on my PlayStation 5 anyway. Got my NES games here. That there, I thought, well, maybe that's Dee's Evercade. Oh, in the pink. Oh, I think this is a PSP in there. That's why. Yeah, I think this is a PSP. That's Dee's PSP. And then underneath here, we've got my Super Nintendo games. These are double stacked as well. So there's another row of Super Nintendo games behind those. There's a Super Game Boy there. Underneath that, we've got my Nintendo 64 games and some loose Sega Mega Drive games and some loose Sega Master System games. And just to the right of that, we've got my Atari 2600 games here and some Sega Dreamcast games. Nintendo DS. This is my Analog Pocket in there. This is what plays all my Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Gear games as such. 3DS games, PSP with some UMD videos as well. A few PS Vita games. Down here I've got some Sega Game Gear games, and then we've got the Evercade collection here as well. We've got Dee's Steam Deck, my PSP. No, that's my PS Vita. That's my PSP. That's Dee's PSP. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to open it up and take a look. Oh, it is an Evercade. Oh, okay. So that's Dee's Evercade. That's probably my Evercade, I guess. Anyway, in these folders here, I'll take these out. This is where I store my Game Boy games in order. So we've got Game Boy, sorry. And then it moves on to Game Boy Color, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Color. It's just a pretty nifty way of keeping them clean, not dusty and not loose, so and well organised as well. The only pain is obviously if I get a game that's like, you know, needs to go here, then I have to move them all over the place, which is a bit of a pain. And again, this one here is just all my Game Boy Advance games. I don't fit particularly well in here, but you know, it still keeps them relatively organised. I pointed at Mortal Kombat Advance there because it's possibly one of the worst games in this collection. A couple of bangers, like Mario, Super Mario games there. I've got Superman Returns, but it's not a very good game either. I'll put those back. We just got some lockers here. Just in there is just some empty Game Boy cases. In here we've got some more loose Game Gear games, and I've got Pokemon Pinball as well. Batteries in there, so that probably works. There is nothing in that one, and in this one I've got some loose Neo Geo Pocket games. Some Atari Lynx games. Again, these work, the Atari Lynx games here, they work on the Analog Pocket with an adapter. And I've got one TurboGrafx game as well. Again, it's a Pachinko one, but this works on the Analog Pocket with an adapter. Sticking with the arcade theme, we've got a mini grabbing machine here. And these are actually Kinder Egg toys that we put in there, and it does grab them. Unfortunately, there's no batteries in there. And that's just fun for when the nephews come over. They have a little play of that, and then we let them keep the toys. And we've got a little coin pusher here as well. And this one actually does work. I've got no coins. Oh, there's some coins in here. So this is just something I bought Dee for Christmas again, because we just, you know, we love our arcade stuff. So I just kind of thought, well, why not? You know, it's cool to have. Hey, there you go. I just won some coins. So that's it, really, guys. That was me basically showing what I got. I feel like I feel kind of bad like doing it. I don't know, like, I mean, you know, kind of don't want it to sound like I'm showing off or anything, but I mean, there's people with bigger collections out there anyway. So it's just a humble little collection that we've got, and we're very happy with. And I hope you enjoyed the video of the game room and the tour. And yeah, we'll keep the videos coming. I do have lots of content that I need to put up. I just haven't had time, but I will be getting a lot more time soon. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.